How exactly do Django content types work? I'm really having a difficult time grasping the concept of Django's content types. It feels very hackish and, ultimately, against how Python tends to do things. That being said, if I'm going to use Django, then I have to work within the confines of the framework. So I'm coming here wondering if anyone can give a practical real-world example of how a content type works and how you would implement it. Almost all the tutorials, mostly on blogs, I have reviewed don't do a great job really covering the concept. They seem to pick up where the Django documentation left off, what seems like nowhere.
So you want to use the content types framework on your work? Start by asking yourself this question: do any of these models need to be related in the same way to other models, and or will I be reusing these relationships in unforeseen ways later down the road? The reason why we ask this question is because this is what the content types framework does best. It creates generic relations between models. Blah blah, let's dive into some code and see what I mean. Okay, so we do have a way to theoretically create this relationship. However, as a Python programmer, your superior intellect is telling you this sucks and you can do better. High five. Enter the content types framework. Well, now we're going to take a close look at our models and rework them to be more reusable and intuitive. Let's start by getting rid of the two foreign keys on our comment model and replace them with a generis foreign key. So, what happened? Well, we went in and added the necessary code to allow for a generic relation to other models. Notice how there is more than just a generis foreign key, but also a foreign key to content type and a positive integer field for the object _id. These fields are for telling Django what type of object this is related to and what the is for that object. In reality, this makes sense because Django will need both to look up these related objects. Well, that's not very Python-like. It's kinda ugly. You are probably looking for airtight, spotless, intuitive code that would make Guido van Rossum proud. I get you. Let's look at the generic relation field so we can put a pretty bow on this. Bam! Just like that you can work with the comments for these two models. In fact, let's go ahead and do that in our shell. Type python manage.py shell from your Django project directory. It's that simple. What are the other practical implications of these generic relations? Generic foreign keys allow for less intrusive relations between various applications. For example, let's say we pulled the comment model out into its own app named Chatterley. Now we want to create another application named noise_nimbus where people store their music to share with others. What if we want to add comments to those songs? Well, we can just draw a generic relation. I hope you guys found this helpful, as I would have loved to have come across something that showed me the more realistic application of generis foreign key and generic relation fields. Is this too good to be true? As with anything in life, there are pros and cons. Anytime you add more code and more abstraction, the underlying processes becomes heavier and a bit slower. Adding generic relations can add a little bit of a performance dampener despite the fact it will try and smart cache its results. All in all, it comes down to whether the cleanliness and simplicity outweighs the small performance costs. For me, the answer is 1,000,000 times yes. There is more to the content types framework than I have displayed here. There is a whole level of granularity and more verbose usage, but for the average individual, this is how you will be using it 9 out of 10 times in my opinion. Generic relationizers? Beware. A rather large caveat is that when you use a generic relation, if the model which has the generic relation applied, picture, is deleted, all related, comment, objects will also be deleted. Or at least as of the time of this writing.
Okay, well, the direct answer to your question, from the Django source code, is media types parsing according to RFC 2616, section 3.7. Which is the tier's way of saying that it reads/allows you to modify/passes along the content type HTTPD header. However, you are asking for a more practice usage example. I have 2 suggestions for you. 1. Examine this code. Two, remember Django is Python, and as such it wields the power of the Python community. There are 2 awesome RESTful plugins to Django. So if you want to see how deep the rabbit hole goes, you can check out Django REST Framework, Taste IP. I suggest going through the Django REST Framework tutorial, which will address acting on different content/types specifically. Note, it is common practice to use the content type header to version RESTful APIs.
If you want to see more, please consider subscribing.